this is completely, entirely unrelated, but I've been reflecting like in the last day with like all the scandal, like the just rush of scandals and just these last 2 weeks.
I feel like you've been busy, and now you're like you finally realize how much shit's going on.
Yeah. But it's specifically with like individuals and men being disgusting and toxic and abusing their power and stuff. And I've been thinking about how like cyclical it is in terms of like podcasts or shows or web shows, whatever you want to call it. Like it's cyclical in terms of something happens with XYZ person, then everyone does this like performance and and then it's like back to back to the scheduled program, right? And okay, so in that there's something about power and about, you know, how people who do fucked up things don't really get canceled most of the time. There's kind of just like a break and then they come back, and then some of them probably continue doing what they were always doing. And it's like my brain was like going through all of this, and I was like, damn, like there's probably going to be so much more of this as we're having this show that it's probably worth like making like a notice.
Like a snapshot of where we are in time.
Well, no. I'm saying like a notice every time it happens where we tie it to the systemic so we don't have to talk about it over and over again. Because I'm like, what are we how many more times can we say, oh, there's something implicit in hierarchy and hierarchical and exploitative businesses and systems that allows people to, it's like, oh, when something happens to person, flash of the notice, and then we're like, so what else do we want to talk about? You know, it's like the nuances and the specifics, like, rarely change so much that the conversation for us changes. It's like, oh well, yeah, no, he could do that because he was in a power position. There was no transparency and
top power,
position.
He was off that power pack.
Random thought, because I think about like, oh, this show, the conversations we have, how we're navigating popular discourse, like. I never want this to be a thing where we feel like we have to talk about the thumbnail, the YouTube thumbnail. Exactly. It's like where people are going, why didn't they talk about blah blah blah? And it's like, well, if we talked about it, we would just be saying what we said 30 times already. Not even for like 5 minutes, but like we're having multi-hour
you kind of get to the point where it's just kind of like this particular instance is so interesting because. Imagine he's in a van, right? Touring the country.
This is basically this is what like, academics do. They unironically write books about shit that has already been written about for decades.
Like this one's crazy because I kind of fucked with him actually. So, so things are different now.
This is crazy because we liked Thing. And now we don't anymore. Look at the codes that were there. Look at the code and Thing that was there. We saw it all along.
This is a classic milkshake duck, guys.
I didn't have anywhere to go from that. It was just like a thought.
I just agree. I mean, like I remember the week Kanye said a lot of the Hitler shit. People were like, this should be an interesting Jaded. And it was like,
that's mean. Someone's gonna feel so attacked from you doing that.
I don't care.
I care.
He cares.
Look, that was. Thank you for watching the show.
You can't even get the words out because you don't care.
Thank you. Thank you for being so interested in what we have to say about what's going on in popular culture in our world, to tune in and be excited, to feel like you're going to get some rich insight from conversation. We did have an interesting conversation about that, though.
I'm still knee deep in a sort of programming of stoicism and unemotionalness that I don't care if that offends you, because we're in the wild west of the internet, bitch. Welcome to hell. You know what I mean?
Welcome to hell.
Welcome to hell. You're in it. You're in it by watching. You're in it by not watching.
This is the blood meridian, baby.
You were gonna make a point though, or another point on that.
But it was just like, I just remember seeing that, and I appreciated the enthusiasm, but I was also like, we might not even talk about that shit.
Right.
Yeah. I feel like 90% of the time I like have a mental plan of what happened this week or what I think I'm going to talk about. It just never happens. Like, why bother?
I'm definitely, I feel like this thing though that I've been circling around in the last day or two is there's definitely something deeper there in that thought and feeling. I feel like in the sense of when you actually have a sense of direction and purpose, even with a show like this, it puts everything into that level of perspective. And when you have that level of perspective, for me, what becomes most important is actually getting at the things that most people aren't already talking about. And like getting into the nuances that most people aren't already talking about. And it feels sort of like at a certain level can be a distraction or a waste of time to like every time there's a thing you're just doing just in different variations because it's a different person and it's a different show and it's a different context. It's like the through line is fucking power. That's why I'm like, it would be funny if we just had a notice and it's the same copy. It never changes. And every situation you see how it applies every single time. It's like, okay, there's a problem here. That's
what we're trying to say here is dumb people talk about people. Smart people talk about ideas.
I love that meme.
What we're talking about is we're starting a new segment called New Rules.
Yeah, exactly.
A Bill Maher.
New rule. I don't want to talk about Kanye.
I am sick of talking about Kanye.
If you're not talking about the systemic, you're fucking dumb.
He is so annoying. Yo, holy shit.
He is so annoying.
What a smug asshole.
Yeah.
So just high on his own supply or whatever.
Yeah. It's always that.
It's like,
Muslims are violent. Okay.
Kanye's
Bill
talking,
Maher. That's Bill Maher, not me. That's Bill Maher.
Kanye.
No, someone's already. They got you.
Thread of problematic.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like rapper Ye is talking about the Jews. Not one mention of the Muslims though. What's going on?
Right.
Even though we always keep it up here and everything, the big four that have happened recently are fucking crazy. Since I'll name it's to me it's Andrew Tate, you got Tory Lanez, you got Justin Roiland, and you got Andrew Callahan.
I'm gonna be honest. After the way this episode is going, I forgot about like stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
those are happening.
concepts. Yeah,
But to me, those are. This does happen all the time, but it's wild that all four of those things are happening at once
at the same time.
to me.
Yeah,
I don't know what.
I think yes and no. I'm kind of like,
round them up.
well, yeah, well, there's that, but the reason why I stress the structural thing is because if we're just doing swap outs, all right, so let's find another.
Yeah,
you know,
I really hope Mulaney's not
like,
a bad guy.
Right? If nothing structurally changes,
yeah,
it's. So I
What is
feel
he
like
gonna take,
I say that to say I think it's going to ramp up even more.
Oh yeah,
and good. I mean, people who are in positions of power under the status quo logics of these systems, and they're doing harm and they're really shitty. Yeah, get them out of there. But like, we have to recognize at a certain point the structure, the hierarchies are still there.
right. Yeah.
So nothing functionally is really going to change except getting another person in a position of power. There's no community. There's no transparency. There's no whatever. And so people can do all kinds of shit in the dark. The community thing too is like thinking about how atomized we are in terms of like dating now, or in terms of whatever. It's like, there's all these things about how we are living today that just is conducive to this shit continuing in the dark until people speak up. And then,
you know what? One thing that that Baudrillard said that actually did resonate with me is there's a few good sentences in there. I'll give him that.
I mean,
but is the idea that jail only exists to make you think everywhere else is not like jail. And I think that's also
spitting right there.
Yeah,
I would have gone.
It's kind of hard.
He said that.
It's kind of hard. And that's true of like all of these individual people and all of these like the places that allowed this to happen that are ultimately structured exactly like every other fucking place.
yeah,
you know, It's like you look at Rick and Morty, and you're like, that must have been such a toxic work environment. It's like every work environment is structured exactly the same.
Yeah.
The fact that it went to its logical conclusion is like it's a spectacle right now, but the truth is every workplace that you've ever been in is liable to be in the same situation. And we were like asking ourselves why like nobody came forward. Like I've heard stories about Justin Roiland for years. You know, and you ask why nobody came forward or why nothing happened. And it's like there was never an opportune time. You know, it's like these people are risking their livelihood or their job security and their ability to get future work to be the one to be the first one that comes forward with that type of information, you know? And that's how every place is structured. There's somebody in every workplace that's, I mean, just about every workplace. I
mean, if you're also like, just on the subject of like challenging power or like coming out with allegations or whatever and actually calling people on their bullshit and trying to have them experience consequences for their actions, it's like, we now live in this world of private security and private surveillance where, like, I don't know if you're familiar with, like, the Ronan Farrow shit and, like, with the investigations he had and how he was tracked by, like, private eyes and shit. It's just terrifying. It's like, it's terrifying what you don't, I don't know. Power becomes so insulated at a certain point, you don't know what it's capable of.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's Justin Roiland. He's a fucking Adult Swim cartoon guy, but, like, I don't know. It's like, it's just crazy.
I mean, it's
how intimidating that shit can be to even on shit that people know about, people have known about, there were witnesses. It's because of the, you know, the implications on your life it could have.